This conference will now be recorded.
We'll call the meeting to order. We'll establish a quorum by roll call. Councilor Borstead. Present. Councilor Heineke. Here. Well, we didn't have to do that now that we're here, right? No. Okay. Okay. We'll go into approving the minutes then from November.
I motion to approve the minutes from November 30th, 2020 special meeting and December 20th, 2020 regular meeting of the Appleton City Council.
Motion has been made by, I don't have to do that either, then, right? Well, that's a good deal. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Yeah, second.
Okay, will there be any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. The city attorney will review.
Turn on my mic. In your packets, we have what we would have presented last year. So just as a reminder, we go through and we have attached the packet for the open meeting law and also the conflict of interest. I won't go through them line by line because you have a very long meeting tonight, but this provides a packet that you can look at later that explains what open meeting law is. Again, the general purpose is to make sure that there's not a quorum of secret meetings, and the general open meeting law is just to make sure the public is aware of everything. And so again, the biggest things that will ever be said to a meeting will say, oh, we didn't know about it, you guys were having discussions about it. Nope, the purpose is we follow the open meeting laws and we do it in full discussion. The public can see, the public can hear, and all the materials that are not subject to confidentiality are then again subject to public review. And so this kind of goes through and provides you what the typical examples are. It does have additional stuff that you don't need to probably know, like how to notice a meeting, because you have the city administrator that does that for you. And again, it just kind of gives an overview of what the purpose is of the open meeting rules and laws. Again, not to say if there's three of you at coffee, you can certainly still have coffee, but again, no discussion about the city and making decisions. So just a friendly reminder. Conflict of interest is a whole nother packet. Again, the typical ones that you'll see as some of you are business members. And so say, for example, if the city contracts with the business, then that person removes themselves and says, I have a conflict, I will not make an opinion, I will not take a vote. And so it's just a way to ensure that everybody that takes a vote on that issue is a neutral party. We also talk about here, there's biased in different ways. So there's financial, there's also other ones that say, for example, if you know this person to be coming for you and you just can't be neutral, those are sometimes how you'll see small towns will say, look, I don't even want to make it look like a potential bias. I will remove myself from that decision. And so again, it just kind of gives you a review of that. And if you have certain questions, but typically what it comes down to is a fact by fact basis. And a lot of times then you just pick up the phone and call myself to say, can you review this? Do you think it's a conflict? And I didn't know, Willie, with respect to that other conflict of interest that was done by Pemberton, do you want me to address that too or not?
Yes, please. Thank you.
Certainly. As you're aware, and part of the packet as well, I believe it was attached in there. We had Pemberton review. There was a discussion with the newest council member, Mr. Tollison, coming on if it was a conflict, because at the time that he was elected, he was not working at the hospital. He was then employed as the hospital. And so we had sought separate legal review by Pemberton, and they have opined that based on the potential for financial conflict, that they had recommended that he would abstain from any voting or discussions regarding the hospital. And so that has also been included in the packet, and that's noted as December 31st from Pemberton Law. Any questions?
So the standard for a certain conflict of interest is a financial interest. And my understanding from reading the opinion was that while it is difficult to define what the financial interest is, because of the review of the facts, that they opine that there is a likely conflict of interest. Right?
That is correct.
Okay, thank you. Does the statute require a resignation?
It does not.
Thank you.
I motion to approve opening a public hearing for amending hospital board ordinance, section 31.68.
Been made and seconded.
Just so I'm clear, Mr. Mayor, you want this discussion amongst us or is this amongst the public?
It's a discussion of whether or not you as city council have any objection.
Okay, so that's, so we're not in the public hearing part yet. Okay. Excuse me.
Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
Now the public hearing is open.
This is just specifying.
That's the city attorney. She can do the interpretation.
Sorry, what did you say?
Could you go through the interpretation of, could you please go through the interpretation of the ordinance as it is now written, specifying oversight for one role as opposed to the way it was written before?
Certainly. So right now it's proposed to change the language of the section 31.68 powers and duties. So the proposed change is to read section A. The hospital nursing home board shall have the power to employ suitable nurses, attendants, and other employees as they deem advisable, and to fix the compensation of the same and to remove such appointees at will. The hospital nursing home shall have the power to recommend that the city council hire suitable superintendent. The city council solely retains the authority to employ, to remove, and to fix the compensation of the superintendent. And so there was a past change that rendered the ordinance vague. And so it could be interpreted that the city council was essentially the supervising of all employees. Again, this is to make it very clear and take that vagueness away, that again, the city council is only the employer removal, the compensation piece for the superintendent. The hospital board retains that of all other employees.
Any other discussion?
I'm in favor of that change. I'd like to see it drawn back a little bit and have it just a superintendent.
And I believe that was always the intent. It got changed and opened it up to subject to interpretation. So again, we're making that change to clarify that was always the intent.
The public speaking? This is the point where the public can speak. We would like your input.
on federal property and killing the permits for the Keystone Pipeline.
So we gonna step up all this? It's time.
What is the reason for changing the ordinance?
What is the reason for changing the ordinance?
You want me to answer it?
Can you have them repeat the question?
Hard to hear.
What is the reason for changing the ordinance in the first place?
You'd be talking the November change?
Correct.
Specify which change? We changed it incrementally from November of 2019, or excuse me, 2020, right?
There would have been an original change, and I believe that took place in, would that be January? Probably January of 2020. And then there was additional changes made, which would have been in that October, November timeframe of 2020. And so that included adding a city council member. That also included the change for the city council would be the supervisor of the superintendent. And in that specific change, it became vague as to all employees. And so today's purpose is to ensure that that vagueness and subject to interpretation is made clear, that again, the only role city council has is to the superintendent piece, not to all employees of the hospital.
What is the full role then of the hospital board?
Did you ask what was the role of the hospital board?
Yes.
Yes. So in the ordinance, as you can see, and I'm going to back that up one step. So the Minnesota statute allows a city to own and operate a hospital. Within that, then a city must set out ordinances in place to say what role each party has and how that city hospital operates. And so if you look to our city ordinances, and I don't have the full copy ordinance in front of me at this point, that will dictate what duties and powers the hospital has. And so those are still maintained and maintained there. Then from that, based on what we have allowed in the city ordinance, then the hospital board sets what we call bylaws. And so you can certainly obtain a copy of both of those, and it still directs and shows that the hospital board still maintains and runs and supervises the hospital.
But now we've taken away the ability of the hospital board in order to oversee the supervisor.
Correct. So that the hospital board used to be the supervisor of the superintendent. That has been brought in that the city council has the ability to employ the superintendent.
You know, it's set up that they'd still do it and it goes through the city council.
So just as any other type of role, the city council is going to look to the hospital board for the recommendation. But the final say would be the city council through their votes.
So then who actually is going to do the hiring of just the regular staff within the hospital?
Correct.
Hospital board.
That still remains with the hospital board and the superintendent.
I understand the council needing to oversee it. I just don't understand them supervising the superintendent, because isn't that the job of the hospital board, and why the change?
The change became because that was a request of the city council.
Again, why the change?
Again, they have the authority to make those decisions, and that was the request of the city council, was to amend that part of the ordinance.
So what spurred on that change desire?
I believe it was mainly for checks and balances and some oversight that in the past years have not been there. And again, nothing against the current superintendent, but it was a safety check that they wanted to put into place based on past history.
Okay, I'm ready to move on.
Is there anybody else who'd like to opine or share your perspective with us, please?
All right, any other discussion? So where do we go from there now? We gotta.
I motion to approve closing the public hearing for amending hospital board ordinance section 31.68 of the Appleton City Code.
Motion has been made and I need a second. Motion has been made and seconded to close the public hearing on the hospital board ordinance, section 31.68. Now we go through we got to vote on that then? So we go right into the vote now?
Yep.
Okay. We have a motion to, well, I said that already, so all in favor?
Aye.
There you go.
Opposed? Motion carries. When you're not virtual, it's tough to get back into the old one.
Yeah.
I'll go right into the next one. And a motion to approve opening a public hearing for amending street parking ordinance section 71.04 of the Appleton City Code.
Do I have a second? Motion has been made and seconded. Will there be any discussion? My comment on that, and I think we've talked to the police chief about it, that as far as the ordinances for the area downtown, if there's businesses open that time of night, they will just leave that area alone. Is there any other discussion on that? I mean, that was my only stipulation. We don't want to be bothering those.
Well, the city staff is shorthanded right now,
Yeah.
and that's one of the reasons why we want to change it so they can get the snow plowing done. And, before people head off to work and stuff. So that's the reason for, changing it to 10 o'clock right now.
Yeah. Yeah. Any other discussion?
Your public comments on that?
You gotta open the hearing. You have to vote on opening the hearing.
Okay,
Ask for a call, I suppose.
okay.
Call the vote.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
So this change is to make it so that after 10 PM until 8 AM, there are not supposed to be any vehicles on the road so that plowing is possible. We're opening up the hearing for comments from the community to tell us your perspective on this change. Currently, vehicles stay out there until 2 AM, I believe. The issue is that, and I'm learning as I'm new to Minnesota, it starts snowing sideways sometimes here a lot early on, and it makes it difficult, almost impossible to clear the streets out to the level that's required to promote safety on the roads. So we just like to help the community out by clearing out vehicles sooner.
Yep.
Any others? Nobody?
Nobody?
We have a motion then to come out of closed.
I'll motion to approve closing a public hearing for amending street parking ordinance section 71.04 of the Appleton City Code.
Do I have a second? Motion is made and seconded to come out of public hearing on parking in the city of Appleton. We'll get into the vote.
And now you go into the new old business.
Don't we have to vote on that, or we did that already, the vote on?
Did you call the vote?
No, we didn't do that. We closed.
So now you go into old business.
Okay, old business, COVID-19 preparedness plan.
So with the governor loosening up some of the guidelines here in terms of what is open and closed, we are recommending that we move into phase 2 of the city's COVID preparedness plan, where we'll have alternating mornings and afternoons available to the public without having to make an appointment. We're not quite at the point where Corona is gone. The state is still not quite at the 5% CDC recommendation of contagion, but we should open, I think, in alternating fashion so that people don't have to make an appointment.
Yeah, I agree. It looks like our cases are down in our area. Looking at Countryside Public Health, I've been watching that pretty closely, and hopefully the staff, I believe the staff is comfortable moving into the phase 2 and starting to loosen up a little bit.
Okay, somebody want to make a motion?
I make a motion that we go to advanced phase 2 of the COVID-19 preparedness plan.
We have a second?
I'll second.
Motion has been made and seconded to move to phase 2 of the COVID-19 preparedness plan. Will there be any discussion?
Just a comment. So if we do go phase 2, which we are, hopefully when we vote that, what will the city office do? You still got a call to make an appointment to come in, or the doors will be open?
The doors will be open on alternating days, mornings and afternoon.
Oh, yeah, okay, all right.
So, Emma, correct me if I'm wrong, that's 8 a.m. till 12, right? And then 1 till 5.
Yep. And then mornings are Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and afternoons are Tuesday, Thursday.
Okay,
Now, if you have a specific kind of issue with the dates, just call in. People haven't been shy to call in, I can tell you that.
okay,
Continue that practice. If you need our help, we're here to help you. But moving to this phase is the right direction at this point because not everybody is able to make the appointments. The city of Appleton does not just serve Appleton. When it comes to motor vehicle transactions, we're serving like the entire region, to be honest with you.
sure. No, that's fine. So it's not just our meetings, but it's the office too. All right.
Yep.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Councilmember Matt Tollefson, resignation.
Motion to approve adopting resolution 2021-01 declaring a city council vacancy and accepting Matt Tellefson's resignation.
Do we have a second? Motion has been made and seconded to accept Matt's resignation. Will there be any discussion?
Would the city attorney opine, please, regarding the process per the statute?
Push that button when you talk.
Certainly. With the resignation and due to the fact it's more than a 2-year span in between the next open election, we are required to then hold a special election to fill that position. And in the meantime, we are allowed to do appointments in between. And then the city administrator and I will work on specific dates because we have to come within certain timelines for the special election. And it's pretty regulated of how we get through that.
Yep, and so generally the special election will be held after the affidavit of candidacy is possible. The Secretary of State has not yet set those, right, Emma?
Not the 2021 date, not yet.
So we're waiting for the state, then we'll do the rest for you guys.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Appointment of the vacant city council office.
Next one you're on, Dan, I'm sorry.
Next one, a motion to appoint.
No, the next one is resolution 20. Oh, you're right, sorry. You're right.
So do we just, if we read this, do we just put it in there who we feel we should put in there or what?
Right. So in the case where there is a tie, if independent city council members mention, and then there's a tie between 1 or 2 candidates, then the mayor would make a decision between those candidates.
Okay.
So when you're reading the motion, you guys have to discuss who you want to appoint. I have provided the city council with the affidavit of election abstract, which says who had the number of votes. And the person who got the second number of votes higher, the third number of votes would be Tim Rittenmore.
Okay. I mean, my opinion is we just go with what the public said. I mean, if they feel Tim Rittenauer is the third guy, that he's the third guy. I'm not going to fight him. I mean, that's my opinion.
I guess with that, I'm going to motion to appoint Tim Rittenauer to the vacant office of council member at large on the Appleton City Council pursuant to Minnesota statute 412.02 subdivision 2A, whom shall serve until the time when a special election can be held, where the appointee will have the opportunity to declare an affidavit of candidacy the same time as other interested candidates.
I'll second.
Okay, motion has been made and seconded. Will there be any other discussion? I mean, so it would be this year, Danielle, or I mean, how do they do that? They give you some dates during the year when you can do that then? Okay,
Well, at that time, we'll have to have another special election for that seat then.
Yep.
And Tim could, Mr. Rittenhour could do it, or anybody else that would sign up can also run for that
is that,
position,
that's.
just to make it real simple. Okay.
And Tim is interested in accepting the position. Tim, are you online?
Yes, I am here.
Would you please let the city council know that it is your wish to serve on the appointed vacancy?
Yeah, I've talked to some different people and I was interested in the first place, which is why I ran and you know, I would love the opportunity to serve the community. So I am definitely interested in filling the vacancy until such a time that there can be a special election.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, Tim.
And Mr. Rittenhour, with your spouse being employed by the city council, there's going to be issues in terms of conflict when it comes to budgets, personnel matters, where you will necessarily be expected to abstain from voting. Is that something you're comfortable with?
Absolutely. I would never want to have even the appearance of a conflict. So I would definitely abstain from anything having to do with her employment or job there with the city of Appleton.
Fantastic. Thank you for clearing that up for us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Resolution 2021-2.
We got to designate the polling.
You do that every year or what?
No, this one.
Oh, for this special meeting. Oh, okay, I get it.
Motion to adopt resolution 2021-02 designating the Civic Center council chambers as the polling place for the special election held in 2021.
I have a second.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Will there be any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Amending hospital board ordinances 31.68 of the city code.
Go ahead.
Motion to approve amending hospital board ordinance section 31.68 of the city code as presented by city staff.
I'll second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Will there be any discussion?
A question I got is with regards to this, is there ever going to be a time, or what would be the time when we would vote on something that the hospital board has not already voted on before it comes here?
Never.
Okay, so it always will be presented before them first, and then it comes to the city council.
That's by design.
That sounds good. I'm happy.
I'd just like to go on and say I just have no interest in fixing any of the employees at the hospital, you know, anything to do with their employment at all, except for the superintendent.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, now we're going to the amending street parking.
Motion to approve amending street parking ordinance section 71.04 of the city code as presented by city staff.
Have a second?
I'll second it.
Motion has been made and seconded. Will there be any discussion?
Just a little bit. as long as we've had the discussion with the police department, because like up at the 52 wing and that stuff up there, you know, when it's till 8 o'clock in the morning, we're dropping kids off there before 8 and the people are there working before 8. So that's not going to be a problem.
On a case-by-case basis, we'll evaluate that, but I don't anticipate that being a problem. What the streets department has run into before is when they're trying to start clearing up the snow and it starts snowing a lot sooner than 2 in the morning, for example, which is what the standard is right now. They can't get the snow out successfully because there's a number of vehicles on the road.
So what you did is just change wasn't the window 2 a.m. to 6 a.m.?
Yeah.
So why'd they go to 8?
Because we skewed it up to give people enough time. Because if you did 6 a.m. and didn't have enough time, so from 10 a.m. to 8 a.m. And then
10 p.m. to 8 a.m. No, but wasn't it 2 a.m. to 6 in the morning?
right,
Wasn't it?
and
Used
that
to be, yeah.
threshold was too small.
Too narrow.
Mhm.
Yep, okay.
Because I know they don't get up to that 52 wing till later.
Well, they might have to change their plow
They have
to
to
make sure, you
change.
know, where the businesses need to be there parking. They might have to do them first. So.
Yeah, it doesn't take long to make, you know, a pass around one block or through that one block there. It's just that block to the east is where all the help park and that stuff.
Management is within its rights to adjust the route and schedule of when plowing gets done.
Okay.
And on a case-by-case basis, we may have to adjust from time to time.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Opposed? Motion carries. Asian building sale.
I'm asking for the authorization to list the vacant parcel, which used to house the Asian building, which was recently demolished, to list it for sale. I haven't had the appraisal done yet. The coronavirus kind of slowed everything down. By late February, I should be able to get an appraisal done, and then we'll know. We have spent about $80,000 on that demolition, and listing it for sale. I'm not sure we'll be able to capture all of that. We hope the market is friendly and favors to us, but we should list it and see what we get.
Is there any reason why we shouldn't do the other 2 lots that are on Main Street that are vacant, and is that do all 3 at the same time?
Which other 2 lots?
I call it the old Ace place. It's on the corner. It's that bigger one. And then where the Curves building, we took that down. Is there, add those to it? And
Yes, we can do that as well.
why not? I mean, we want them all filled. We don't just want the one on the north end. At least I do.
Okay, no problem for me.
Yeah.
Just add that into the motion.
I don't know what their parcel numbers are, but what do you say? Just those 2 lots extra or what?
Well, the 3 lots that the city owns on Main Street, have them put them up for
I
sale.
think that meets it, right?
Motion to authorize the city administrator to list for sale the vacant lots as parcel, that number 2 and others, provided an equal appraisal of the value of the parcel is performed.
I second.
Motion is made and seconded. Will there be any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Demolition bids for the Wokening and McCarty properties.
I'm seeking authorization to have these 2 properties demolished, and I would like to put in a bid seeking quotes for the demolition of these 2 properties that are owned by the city. So the other lots have already been cleared, and we want to sell them. These are still up and a little bit of a nuisance. We got to get rid of them.
I motion to authorize the city administrator to advertise bids for the demolition of city-owned properties, Wilkening and McCarty.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Will there be any other discussion?
Danielle, with regard to McCarty, the whole DOR process, can you update them a little bit about that?
Certainly, that one was a little bit of a challenge as it's settling under drainage. So there's extra steps that we had to do. We had to come into court, and the judge was authorized that property for sale. That was
we then take in turn a deed, come in, play when once deeds on file, have a legal description. The state law office has pieces of a web, and so I have to do some restrict the deed and have them resign, but then again, it will be filed.
So you see, in government, everything is easy.
So this, can I get the address of this McCarthy property? Or what I didn't see that
That's the one right in back of
Ashland,
Sinclair.
Sinclair.
Where?
back of Sinclair, just west of
Oh, yeah,
the
okay, all right,
little house there. Water Levy used to live there.
you bet, okay. Can we add to this? I know this is a conflict of interest probably for me, but that one to the north of me, that's got to get taken down. I mean, we got, what else can I comment that, I mean, we got cats, we got possums, we got a garage back there that's full of garbage and it's just going nowhere. We got a guy last summer that did mow it. What, why, is there something wrong with that property or?
No, I'm laughing because I would like to encourage you to allow us to go through a due process. Just
Okay.
because my office is going to be recommending sweeping changes very soon that are going to involve eminent domain, nuisance, takings, and you're going to have a lot of activity regarding that, and you may change your position.
Okay, well, that's, I appreciate that, because that place is just, dear God, I'm getting sick of blowing snow and mowing the lawn, or mowing, not mowing the lawn, but blowing snow in front of it.
Councilmember Silty's comments are not meant to be interpreted as derogatory or accusing of causing a nuisance.
No, I don't mean to be derogatory, I'm just getting frustrated.
Okay, any other discussion? Hearing on all in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Opposed? Motion carries. Mayoral appointments.
So here we have an interesting one for you, Danielle. The city structure as a chapter, as a statutory city A. Previously, they had all of these commissions, board committees, helping and assisting city council to do the management. That has since changed. Many of the boards have significant vacancies, and many of them have already fulfilled their purpose. So the mayor would like to appoint, but doesn't know if he really should in certain cases. So I think we need some more time to do the research because statute is involved in at least one or two of these appointments.
Well, I mean, a good example is a swimming pool, you know what I mean? It's run by the city now, and I mean, that the whole development of it, I mean, I don't know, the board really wasn't involved in any day-to-day stuff, and you know, and it's tough to get people to fill these boards too. I mean, that's part of the thing.
Yep, we can certainly take a look at it, and if they're necessary, then we would fulfill them, and if they're unnecessary, then it's not making sense to reappoint.
Would it be okay to table this one then and then revisit it throughout the year? Okay.
So we can just table that one, right? But if we do have, like the EDA board and stuff, if I need people on that, I mean, I can ask and get them appointed. I mean, I can put them on as we go, right? I mean, the boards that we are gonna keep, or?
Yep.
The specific boards that you know you want to keep, I would go
Yeah.
ahead and appoint.
Okay.
To the listeners out there, this may seem a little wishy-washy, but the city clerk and I, for some of these boards, we're gonna have to go back 30 years of minutes and stuff to find out when they were established, if we have complete records. So you may not be able to see the city clerk's face right now, but she's not very excited about this process. It's one of the pleasures of working in public, local government management. But that's why we ask permission so that you can see and know what we have to go through.
Okay, we'll move on to, now I can appoint that one, all right? Yeah, I'd like to make a motion to appoint Gary Borstead to serve on the hospital board. I asked him and he was interested in doing it. So, do I have a second on that, or?
Yeah, I'll second it.
Motion has been made and seconded to put Gary Borstead to serve on the hospital board. Will there be any other discussion?
Just want to thank Gary for going on the hospital board. And I know it's a board that takes up a lot of time and I appreciate him stepping up and doing it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Hospital CEO recruitment plan.
My office is requesting authorization to engage with the hospital board to create a recruitment plan for a new CEO. In doing research for the tools that would be necessary to create that plan, I looked at the Minnesota Hospital Association's salary studies. The salary study presented some of these following highlights. The salary study sets hospital operational budget floor, so the minimum of $30 million, and shows that CEOs in the 25th percentile, that is the lowest portion of that bracket, whose operational budgets are less than $30 million, should be earning around $170,000 per year. The salary study further illustrates that a 4-year trend for median salaries of CEOs whom are employed by hospitals with operating budgets less than or equal to $30 million is set $170,000 per year, with benefits an additional 13.75% for a total of $190,000 annual compensation. The salary study does present some variation with regards to relationship between a CEO's candidate's years in healthcare administration experience and annual compensation. For a CEO with less than or equal to 15 years of experience in healthcare administration, the study finds that a base salary per year would be $141,250 before adding any bonuses. The reason I list that is because there are a number of limitations that that information gives. For example, there are 141 hospitals in Minnesota. Only 35 respondents were used to form the basis of that salary study. A more robust study could possibly skew down or standardize the salary to be slightly lower. For a community like ours and a critical access hospital like the one that we have, these budgets could be impacted by those salary amounts. The salary study does not communicate whether or not hospitals included in the study were private, public, or for-profit or not-for-profit. The salary study did not disaggregate information regarding to what the study accepted as years of healthcare experience. For example, a clerical position in a hospital CEO's office, an administrative assistant to a hospital management team member, as well as an assistant CEO of a hospital, all fall under the umbrella of healthcare administration. Yet not all of these positions are to be included in the career trajectory of a hospital CEO. The salary study did not include information regarding academic preparation or licensure attainments for CEO candidates. While it may be the case that a hospital board might more heavily weigh experience over credentialing, that decision usually comes at a discount in a rational negotiation. For example, if a candidate is strong but does not have the preferred preparation, the hospital board might offer a contract with a discounted compensation until the CEO candidate attains licensure or gets the required degree. So because of the technical nature of this recruitment, I'm asking for authorization to work with the board to create a recruitment plan for the CEO's position.
So you'd be there as potentially as of an advisor or help an advisement?
To work with the board to help them use the tools that are available to them for making a recommendation to the city council for how to hire the CEO.
And the hospital board then will actually hire the person they see fit.
Well, the hospital board would recommend the process and the city council would hire.
Correct. Okay. With that, I'd motion to authorize the city administrator to begin working with the hospital board to create a recruitment plan for the hospital CEO.
Wait a second.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Will there be any other discussion?
The only statement I would like to make is in regards to that one paragraph. It's here at the end of page 2. It says, discount compensation until the time the CEO attains licensure or degree preference. I've been in this position twice, and we did it once where we did not have the licensure. What I'm talking about is a nursing home licensure, and we allowed the candidate to get it, and that did not go well. And so the second time we learned, and we did make it a requirement that that would be the only way you'd get into the interview process is if you had that nursing home licensure. I would strongly recommend you continue that unless the flat out the candidates aren't there to have. But because it was, you end up renting, or what do? You end up renting, or call it a rent, to somebody else that you got to rent that licensure until that person or that new CEO gets their licensure thing. It's more expense. It's a hassle. It's just what I've learned. That's what I learned.
I agree with that. And what I was reading to you were examples of what a board could potentially do.
That's fine.
in a hypothetical
I
situation.
just wanted to let you know what my experience was is all.
I am not generally in a position of recommending appointments where licensures and academic preparations are not possessed. I'm just saying that sometimes that is the case because you have a rock star candidate, and in a rational negotiation, that is a point that you may discount compensation being offered, which I'm not sure has ever been the case in this city. So.
It just, that one time we did it, and it was not fun. But you guys, you guys will do it right. I don't disagree with that, but that's just my experience. That's all it is.
Good to have it. That's why you got people with experiences. I mean, that's
why you're here.
Yeah. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Director of Public Works recruitment update.
Emma, how long have we had that open? It's 2 weeks now, yeah?
Oh, 2-3 weeks. Yeah, it's been kind of a staged advertising process. We put it out on the website first and then started with one paper in their website, and then it should have been, I think, that first and second week of January was like 600 in some newspapers in the entire state of Minnesota. And then Swift County Monitor was gonna do that. A week on, week off, week on, week off.
We have one applicant, and I have communicated with the applicant and I documented his application. I've asked for the applicant to please complete the city's employment application, and they are in process.
Well, that sounds good. It hasn't been out very long, so.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, Prairie Land Library Systems year-end budget and discussion.
Pioneer Land, you'll see a budget before you, and I want to take this opportunity to thank Pioneer Land for not increasing their assessment to us with the impact of COVID-19. They were gracious enough not to increase it. I also want to recognize talent when I see it. They have an incredibly reconciled budget. It is transparent, it is clear, you know where every dollar is going, and they partner with us. The level of services we get from them are incredible, and I just wanted to highlight that here. We have our librarian here if you have any programming questions as they pertain to Pioneer Land.
This probably doesn't have to do with anything with Pioneer Land, but as most people know, we got an excellent library, and I'm really proud that we have a library like this, and it's good people running it, so I really appreciate that.
You can, anytime you come by, it's usually busy too, and they can be in there, so.
Yeah, I'm always amazed how many people are in there when I'm in the city.
The one that surprises me is how many people sit out here and use the internet. I mean, it's just crazy. You drive by and it's like, I don't know that. Well, they're just sitting there and they got their laptop.
That's a good service to our town too.
Is there anything you want to advertise for the library's programming?
We've been trying to go with all, we've been trying to do all things that are things for adults. We are doing great with all our kids programming. We've got people watching all the time on Facebook and signing up for everything they can as soon as we make it available. We've had our book club is still doing fabulous, even though we're teaching kids food. We're still doing a lot of different things for our community. We're trying to reach out and respect for people who are home and I guess do what we can to help.
Yeah. Thank you.
And it looks like you got strong participation even with the distancing.
Yeah, we really have. I mean, I'm surprised, how people have made that leap. And are still participating in all sorts of different formats.
Good to see. Liquor store analysis and expenditure limit.
As you'll see, the liquor store had many returns this year. Their revenues, the gross profit was in the $200,000 range. They've made more than enough to cover their operations. And I'm requesting that limit be established, expenditure limit that is, of $572,984.37 for 2021. That limit helps us to keep track of where we are. We use it as a performance metric. We had one last year as well. Now, while they did really well this year, this is one of the impacts of the coronavirus. You had a lot more people home that could make more purchases for their consumption at home. That is not a sustainable expectation for next year when COVID impact might not be around. I just want to caution that this expectation should not be expected. That's why I'm requesting that the expenditure limit be only 572, which is more consistent with the typical trend as opposed to this punctuated event.
I motion to establish a liquor store expenditure limit of $572,984.37 for 2021.
I'll second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Will there be any discussion? How do you come up with that number? Why didn't you just raise it to 575 or?
Because I'm not guessing, I'm actually computing.
Okay, well, I'm just curious. In my bookkeeping, when I run stuff, you just round it up.
But my boss,
You're more like Joe, you're more like Jay.
my boss asked me to the cent level what things are happening, so I do that.
I want to congratulate the liquor store on such a great year. It's always fun when the business is doing well.
Yep.
And I hope they're having a little fun with this too. Because it can be enjoyable. So I just congratulate them.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Purchase beyond purchase policy threshold.
So these are purchases that are beyond a $5,000 limit established by the city council. With regards to a couple of these, we are getting reimbursement for one of them, in particular, the big ticket item, the $228,000 Magni construction. That's regarding the water treatment facility costs. The Public Facilities Authority bond that we have does reimburse us for that, and we should be reimbursed for that shortly. It has already been submitted, the request for reimbursement. With regard to workers' compensation, we've had some liability issues, claims in the year 2020, about $35,000, which have driven up the cost a little bit. Also, some exogenous factors, the League of Minnesota's trust, the insurance, they raised the classification for police due to increased claims of PTSD by police officers. They voted to increase that by 35%, and they increased all other insurance classes by 4.5%. So what really impacts us as well is the fact that we now have a modification experience debit, whereas before we had a credit. So the modification experience is a statistical number that is the result of expected liabilities versus actual liabilities. For 2019, our expected liabilities were lower than our actual liabilities because we had that one claim. So where in 2020, we had a debit of 0.84, which resulted in $7,000 less. And let's not forget that police classes were not as high as they were recently voted to in 2021, and the other classes weren't higher either. So we saved $7,000 in that instance. In this instance, we actually have a debit balance of 1.41 but that only amounts to $567. So the real impact has to do with the recent claim and also the increases to police classes because of PTSD claims. So those are the exogenous factors are really what drove the price up. Then we have also the Civic Center heating system. Emma, would you speak about that a little bit?
So this summer, we noticed there was uneven cooling happening in the building here. And then with the early October snowfall, we had to pick on the heat a lot sooner. And it just, the heat was not even in the library, it was 62 degrees, our office would be 70 degrees. So we called Chapel Central in to look at all the units, to do a good inspection of every single one of them in the basement here. And they found 3 or 4 out of the 7 weren't working properly. Whether it be the control board was shot, or there was pieces that were not working, pipes leaking, which led to them actually bringing in a consultant that they work with that specializes in geothermal systems. And he came in and he was looking at it, and there are some issues with the pipe, the type of piping that was used when it was put in. And then there's an issue with the loop field. Unfortunately, we have no plans that we can find. We're still researching for the loop field to look at to see how to fix that system, to fix that as well as the units here. And now last week, leaking going on in the basement. The pump was running really loud and not properly, which led to Chapel coming over again and looking at even the auxiliary heat that we have, which is gas, is not ductworked into all of the offices. So like right now, our city office, it's been about 65 degrees in the office the last couple of days, where like you guys can feel quite comfortable in the room tonight. So there's a lot of work that needs to be done. And then it's going forward a maintenance type program to make sure these units are kept up on. Because what they found is because there wasn't a maintenance schedule and it takes getting inspected as much, these units kind of just, they're showing their age too. And that's part of the reason.
Also, some of the units, actually all 7 of them, are supposed to have variable frequency drives. Does this sound familiar? When you don't have that, they run at a consistent zoom, 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 which wears and tears them faster over time. So it cuts their useful life down. And now the heat pumps are not working either. So we have to start doing something here. Otherwise, the heating and cooling system won't work. Luckily, we have the auxiliary power, but as she stated, it has variable like heat ranges. You know, even that has air in the system, and they were trying to bleed out the air and they couldn't do it.
The whole thing, I've been working on it myself, trying to limp it along, and it's just, it was put in poorly to start with. Falk Brothers from North Dakota put it in, and I mean, they've done, you know, in their defense, the type of pipe they use here is no longer even made. You can't buy parts for it. I mean, it's just one of them things that was put in that it was so new at the time that they didn't have the right product, basically.
There was also a comment that I met with the technician when he came. He stated that the liquid that's going in there is not the exact liquid that he should be using. It may have been at one point, but it's been discovered that it's actually corrosive. So we have deterioration from wear and tear, and then we have a product that's supposed to be part of the operation, which is destroying it from the inside out. So we have a bit of a boo-boo.
Does anyone, I mean, not that this really matters, the system's failing, but does anyone have an idea how old this system is? Just a curiosity.
92, I think.
91 or 92. I think there's only 2 units left on there that haven't been replaced, so.
And then the issue is that we don't have the schematics to provide to somebody who would be able to fix the loop field, because they need to know where it is out there.
Yeah.
Because they're kind
The
of
problem is fixing that loop field. That's when I was up on a trip, they dug back here and hit the pipes back here. And luckily, they found a company in Pennsylvania that had 2 fittings left, because it's a special pipe and you can't get the fittings. So even if you find the leak, you can't fix it because you don't have the, you know, they just don't make it.
Right, repair kits.
So loop fields, you know, they are very successful, especially in big skyscrapers and big cities. They're actually the standard for that kind of heating system. But here, the innovation is you have to, where you're going to implement an innovation, you have to think about logistics. We are in rural Minnesota. So when you have to get this one particular heating system that's only made by one or two firms and only serviced by even less, how much is the innovation really saving you? So that's where we are. We're trying to keep it along and maybe make a decision about whether or not we need to move to a more traditional system, but costs will determine that.
But if you do get a hold of somebody, I mean, I can talk to them because I was in on trying to patch the one. I know which loop field is the one leaking. You could split that one off and you could save two of them and you could just downsize and use geothermal on just part of it. Because you could flush the system out, get the corrosive stuff out and switch it. You know, because there is a third of the loop field is working fine. It's 1/3 of it's got a leak. So we can split that loop off that's leaking and we've got two that are good. So,
Okay.
but the two that are good are not capable of running the whole facility. That's the problem.
And then the other ticket item here is Roderberg and Berryman is asking this is their fee. It's part of the MnDOT grant that we got for the other airport paving project to be done there this year. And that's 21025. And then lastly, Prairie 5 Transportations, we're paying for the last part of the capital improvements that they did for 2020, $6,534 for a total of $331,693.38.
So that took so long. Do we have a motion and a second on that or?
We haven't done one yet, have
We
we?
haven't done one yet.
Yeah.
Motion to approve payment of $331,692.38 for invoices that are beyond the limits of the city of Appleton's purchase policy.
Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Motion has been made and second. Will there be any other discussion? I'd just like to say, I mean, if we can save any of that for just a part of it, like you could keep the two units like for this meeting room and the hallway and at least save some of the loop field if possible.
So when we have the gentleman come into service, I'll make sure that you guys that you're in particular here.
Yeah, I mean, I can show him at least what was broken, what wasn't, you know, from the past.
It all looks broke to me, kind of Greek to me, so.
All right, any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Resolution 2021-30 quarterly donations.
Those are fourth quarter donations from 2020.
We have a motion.
Motion to adopt a resolution 2021-03 accepting 2020 fourth quarter donations.
We have a second.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Will there be any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Transfer of liquor store net profits in the amount of $40,000.
So as we stated earlier, the liquor store did very well. From a profit standpoint, their net earnings this year were just about double what they generally get. So we can transfer over the $40,000 that was promised to the hospital for accepting the ambulance service as a business unit of theirs without an impact to the budget or the tax levy.
Motion to approve the transfer of $40,000 of net profits from the city liquor store pursuant to Minnesota statute 447.05 subdivision 4 over to the city hospital to mitigate regulatory shortfall or whatever that is, shortfall associated with adding to an ambulance service to its business unit.
We have a second?
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Will there be any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Repayment of wastewater fund.
So the city of Appleton had a negative $1.7 million in the wastewater fund. That included monies transferred to the hospital and also depreciation and all sorts of transactions from the wastewater fund over the years without replenishing that fund. Last year, Resolution 2020-16, the City Council voted to repay aggressively that figure back. We had a sale of a property for $10,000. The hospital paid back $744,130.23. And we had rental income in the amount of $4,950 from the 52 wing and general rental income of $33,777.14 for a total of $792,857.37 that can be transferred over to the wastewater fund to help cure that negative cash balance.
I motion to approve repaying the negative cash balances in the wastewater fund by transferring 2020 transaction amounts such as repayments received from the city hospital, the sale of real estate property, and all rental property income in a total of $792,857.37 pursuant to Resolution 2020-16.
I have a second?
Yep.
Motion has been made and seconded. Will there be any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. RDC Capital Improvement Plan.
Last year, the city council authorized that the city engage with the Regional Development Commission here to put together a capital improvement plan. At that time, there was money available in a hedgehog grant program that is not available now. And I perceive that as a material change to the fact pattern. So I wanted to present that to City Council again for authorization to move forward even without that particular grant being available.
Willie, can you remind us why it's important to have a capital improvement plan for our city?
Yeah, the capital improvement plan is a living document that the City Council will add and subtract and prioritize different capital needs of the city. I would say that it's your roadmap, which together with your master plan, which you guys work really hard to establish, helps the City Council, no matter who's on the City Council, know how to keep the city moving forward and keep up with the times and the maintenance, which is, as you see, we are in desperate need of from top to bottom. We're talking about streets, we're talking about building, we're talking about depreciation that the average person can tell. And when you look at your streets and you look at the condition of your water system, we want to make sure that we have a plan to attack these things. And I also want to state, just because there's not money in their coffers now in terms of a grant right now, doesn't mean that they may not have a little bit down the line that we could apply for. There's also some resources at the county level for planning that I plan on applying for. But as far as this particular expectation, it has changed in a material manner, and I have to present it to you for authorization to keep going forward.
Yeah, I would trust that the city administrator will look for grant monies available as they pop up. And with that, I make a motion to approve contracting with the RDC to create a capital improvement plan, even if the grant resources are not available.
You have a second?
I'll second.
Motion has been made and seconded to contract with the RDC on the capital improvement plan. Will there be any other discussion?
How much is this going to cost us?
Yeah.
$8,712.
Any other discussion? I think it's a good idea. I mean, we need to have a plan. We obviously haven't had, we need to get a lot of stuff fixed. So the main thing of this thing, it'll help us prioritize, right?
Mhm.
I mean, we need to prioritize what animal we gotta tackle, I mean, in what order, so.
This is something I have significant background in. However, if my office does it, it means I'm less available for the other things that I have other 8 arms in. Because a capital improvement plan is a comprehensive approach. You have to interview all of the department heads. You have to quantify what their needs are. There is a process by which we engage with residents to help inform the city council what priorities should be. So having my office do it, which is possible, takes me off of the other capacity building that I'm doing right now.
And the RDC next door here does have a lot of experience in
A
this.
lot of resources.
They have a lot of
Is that
resources.
True, yeah.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Liquor store licensure.
I make a motion to approve liquor license applications of the Paddle Bar, Shooters, and VFW for the year 2021, which consists of a period from February 1, 2021 through January 31, 2022.
Motion has been made and seconded. Will there be any discussion?
I'll second it.
Sorry about that. I'd like to just say too, I'll recuse from voting on this, being my brother owns a paddle bar, so I'll just stay out of this vote.
You're abstaining.
Abstaining, yeah. So Jason, I guess you'll have to run the roll call on
I'll
that.
run the roll call. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries.
Prairie Waters membership.
So Emma, please be monitoring, I think, on the Pemberton City Attorney is calling. Make sure that she can log in. She just let me know she's having some trouble.
Oh, okay, I don't see anybody here.
He tried to log in by the link and it wasn't
All
successful.
has arrived.
Okay, perfect. Would you mind speaking to us a little bit about Prairie Waters?
Okay. Prairie Waters is a board that is made up of, different, but the few counties in the area, I sit on the board for Appleton, along with, as part of the Swift County, Gary Hendricks is also on there. And it's a lot of, we work with the RDC, mainly Melissa Strike, and it's a lot of how do we get people to our region, and their focus is not only tourism, they're really working on how can we help employers recruit people to move to the area, how can we help recruit people just to move here that, you know, a lot of the trend now is if you can work from home, if you have an internet connection, you can live anywhere. You know, that's getting to be more popular. And so what Prairie Waters does is we meet bi-monthly and talk about what kind of advertising we want to do, what is going to benefit not only our town and our county, but our region in general. And this year, there's actually a grant that they have received. So membership is about half of what it would normally be because they've gotten enough grants. With COVID, there's a lot of grants for tourism and stuff like this. So through the RDC, the Prairie Water Board has gotten a grant to reduce memberships for the year. So our membership would actually be the second tier. So instead of $3,782, it would actually be $1,891. And just in the year I've been on the board, I'm very impressed with what people have done and what they're doing as far as one of the big things that they do is they create a visitor's guide that gets put at the Mall of America. And the Mall of America is always calling for more because people are taking it and reading it. And I know they're starting to develop some shop local, eat local type brochures and programs and their website and Facebook, and they actually there's like our website to theirs. So people are looking at coming to Appleton, they can click on that, see what there is to do in the region as well. So it's a great tool, and I think it's a benefit to the city to be members of it.
I would agree with that. On that note, I mean, living out by it, the use of that ATV park is getting just unbelievable. And I think if we could get some sort of business involved with fixing four-wheelers or renting them or I mean, anything to try to maybe just draw off of that is, you know, is a positive, something. I mean, because, I mean, I've seen license plates from Wisconsin, South Dakota, Iowa, Nebraska. I mean, it's really pretty crazy who comes there to use that. So I think it's a good deal.
Would you like a motion?
That would be good.
Motion to approve the city of Appleton's membership in the Prairie Waters Regional Tourism Listing Service for the year of 2021.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion is made and seconded. Will there be any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Resolution 2021-04, city membership and coalition of Greater Minnesota Cities.
This organization is very similar to League of Minnesota Cities. They are the scrappy one though. They do the policy fighting. Where the League of Minnesota is your very, very talented, educated statesman. This person is your policy fighter, this group. And when I need help calculating LGA issues and tax issues for the properties here in the city, they have helped me on more than one occasion, even not as a member. So I'm requesting that the city join this.
What does it cost of that?
$841.
I motion to adopt resolution 2021-04, allowing the city of Appleton to join the coalition of Greater Minnesota Cities.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Will there be any other discussion? Well, I think it's a good idea. If it's something that he's been using and they haven't charged him, it'd be a good idea to be involved and if it gets you information you need.
Well, yeah, and for example, Otter Tail had a big meeting to increase rates. They provided me some guidance. Did you attend that hearing first? Could you give us a little bit of update?
What Appleton is pushing to increase the rate, and so it allows then the Attorney General's office and other partners to come in, and if they want to object to those, and so right now it's set for what's called mediation, arbitration. We're going to deadline the dates out there. It just gives an opportunity for everyone to voice their concerns, and typically what the end goal the judge would hopefully have happen is that rate increase would be a number that everybody agreed upon versus the number that is initially requested by others. So again, we're just a little small part of that, but it gives us a voice in the role. In theory, we know what's going to happen. We don't have that much say in it, but again, they help a little bit.
And from my perspective, it was important to have the city attorney attend and ask them to consider if they're going to have such an increase, for them to consider the fact that we are in a pandemic and this impact to the local governments is going to be felt for the next year. So maybe to implement that incrementally over time and maybe to tie it to changes in things like LGA. So if LGA is less by 2.5%, maybe they should only increase by that proportion. I don't think it's likely that we'll win that argument, but on behalf of the taxpayers of the city of Appleton, we certainly will submit that suggestion.
Okay. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Fire and Rescue Department list of officers.
I make a motion to approve the 2021 officer list for the Appleton Fire and Rescue Department.
I'll second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Is there any other discussion?
I want to thank all those guys for putting their lives on the line. Just want to thank all those guys for putting their lives on the line for us, and doesn't go unnoticed, and I just greatly appreciate their volunteer time for them.
Yeah, they do a good job. We're lucky to have them. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. City of Danvers permit by rural site used for disposal request.
Is Mayor Commodore on the line? Comerford, excuse me. So the city of Danvers is having a tear down of their old city hall, and they have requested to dispose of their debris in our permit by rule site. The city of Appleton now controls the use of that site. That site has a maximum capacity of 15,000 cubic yards. As just a point of reference, the Asian building we just demolished was 750 cubic yards. So there's plenty of space in there. Your packets include pictures if you're curious. And the building that they are tearing down, it's about 526 cubic yards. So them depositing in there is not going to take up too much space. Also, I've been working with the mayor to get us quotes for the bidding process for the demolition, quotes for the bidding process, and abatement of asbestos, which they have done. So my recommendation is to allow them to deposit their debris there. And originally, the county had intended for the permit by rule site to serve the entire county. Governance of that site is rests now with the city of Appleton. And so they would have to come to, as Danvers is doing, permission should be granted to the city council.
Motion to approve the city of Danvers' request to dispose of demolition debris at the permit by rule site.
I'll second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any other discussion?
So Willie, we still, even after, if we accept this, we would still have substantial room at that site for our.
Yes.
We've only
as well.
used about 1,500 yards of it so far.
Out of how much, Dan?
15,000.
15,000.
1%.
We've used,
We've used 1% of the capacity tearing
Okay.
down those buildings.
thank you.
I will say this as a caution, just because I don't know if snow has come or what since the last time I went to visit the site. The guys went and took some pictures for us, and snow did obscure a little bit. So after we grant this one time, maybe we should hold off on granting until the summer where we can visibly really see and measure what's out there. I know that there is space because 15,000 cubic yards for 1% of use, it's going to be quite vast. But I think in the interest of the city's demolition projects, which Councilor Silty made it very clear to let me know, I think we should take a beat after granting this permission.
Yeah, well,
Until
we
the
can
summer.
take it case by case too, and then, I mean, if we can get more of ours tear down, and there is space, I mean, we
Yeah.
can definitely let them use it, but we want to make sure we get rid of ours, so.
Can you remind us of the deadline on that?
Oh, I extended that deadline. I inherited it and it was going to expire real quick. So it's until September 2021. So we have use of it.
Any other discussion? Hearing none? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Development agreement discussion with Just Inc.
My office would like authorization to approach Just Inc. to have a discussion about what their interests are with regards to a development agreement. No promises have been made, no discussion has been had. I just know that with a local major employer, I know that they pay quite a bit. They pay their fair share in terms of sewer and water, and the state is not allowing us to adopt or mitigate those rates. But there may be somewhere where they can save in terms of taxes if they are investing in the community.
Can I get a motion on that?
I motion to authorize the city administrator approach leadership at Just about the potential of pursuing a development agreement with the city of Appleton.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Will there be any other discussion?
Do you know, Willie, what are their building plans or what they plan to do?
I don't, this is part of that discovery process.
Okay.
It would be nice of the city if we could help them. I mean, I know they're getting beans from Japan and they're crushing them in Fargo and North Dakota and then bringing the powder down here. It'd be nice if we could help them build a facility here and do everything in our community. It would bring people and business and.
I don't disagree, but it is a little nervous for me that we're pursuing them, not them pursuing us. If you go look at how the other people that have gotten abatements, which I have to commend the city because they have been very generous to my employer, to many other businesses up and down Main Street. So it ain't that they don't do it, but I am nervous about us going to them, not them coming to us.
He's absolutely right. It is atypical for the community to reach out. But we are living in atypical times. Your most prominent employer left. There's public policy happening at the state that has not diversified your economic development drives here. We have small businesses that are not enough. We have only 3 major employers left. So we have to take like the initiative. We have to tell them they're pretty.
Okay.
Yeah,
I mean, you know what I mean? I mean, we've had that.
Yeah.
Yep.
We had to come to the city. I think other companies have had to come in, and the city has been generous. So let me say that
But the
we
reason
didn't get
that I
our
kinda
fair
brought it
share,
up to
but
Will- I brought it up
it's
to
just a
Willie
little
was-
nervous when
I
we
think
go
it's
to
too.
them.
What you're feeling is exactly right. It is atypical, but we're living in Appleton during atypical times.
Okay.
But the reason that I kind of pushed Willie toward that is they just came to me as the mayor. And you know, when we did that rate increase,
Yep.
I mean, it was huge for them.
Yep.
And it was concerning to me that they were that concerned. I just told Willie that maybe there's a possible way we can work with them to ease the burden of that. Because I mean, you know, they come and they start running their numbers and then all of a sudden you just take another $8,000 or $10,000 every month out of their pocket. That changes their bottom line too.
I agree.
So I mean, that's kind of the avenue we decided to try to help with that.
Okay.
That hike increase
that's
in the
fine.
water.
That's just one of the tools that we have at our disposal, a development agreement. And it doesn't always have to be a complete development agreement. It may just be a TIF district, or it may be an abatement for a certain period of time. I just want to start the conversation, and I want the city council to give me the authority to start the conversation.
Okay.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Appointing a city council member.
For local board of appeals, this is a fun one. You want to take it over, Emma?
You go to class online, you go through the handbook, and then you're approved. But it has to be done by February 1st. We just have to have one council member at least on the board.
It's important because if there is an appeal process and we don't have a member on that board, then it goes back to the county's board. And then we know the county will represent us to the best of their ability, but local residents might feel that we didn't do our due diligence by having our local board represent their interest. So this is a really fun board. I hear they give candy and stuff, so.
You said that quite quickly. I mean, can you say that one more time, what the qualifications or what you have to do to get on?
It's just an online course and it's a, 52-page workbook, I think, or 40-page workbook. And that's all it is. You register online with the Department of Revenue and you do an online course and yeah, you just have to take that class. That's all you have to do.
And that's approximately how much time?
The class is not to develop expertise. The class is to develop familiarity so that, you know, when the county assessor is doing an equalized valuation, you know how to agree or disagree and why.
Okay.
There was no time, like, the time estimate done when I looked at it, you had to actually go in and register. They would give you time limit, but in the general information was not enough time, but it has to be done by February 1st, so.
It's big letters too. That's why it's 54 pages.
But it's something you could do at home. You just do
Yeah,
that.
you can do it.
Okay. I would be willing to do that.
Yeah, I don't have enough words.
Thank you,
Don't
Chair.
all shake your head at once. Except-
Well, can we make that a motion?
Motion to approve the appointment of Counselor Silty to serve on the local Board of Appeal and Equalization.
Do you have a second?
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Will there be any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Robust SIU update discussion.
PROBS has been retained to help us update our significant industrial user agreements, which are quite tedious, highly technical, and have been difficult for the city and the industrial users to apply. That's also part of the discussion about capital improvement and our relationship with our industrial users, which might help us in trying to figure out how we move forward with a development agreement, if that is possible. So everything is connected. Just, probes, they have been delayed by Corona. And by the end of the month, we should have their study sent over to us.
Thank you. Okay, League of Minnesota trust liability waivers. You said this is something we haven't been in the past and you feel we should be, or?
We do this every year. So statutory limits are afforded by Minnesota statutes 466.04 in the amount of $1.5 million in the aggregate, or $500,000 per instance. A municipality will waive this if they're going to purchase additional insurance coverages. Otherwise, they keep their coverages how they are. They keep their statutory limitation protections as they are, which is what I recommend here, because we have no plans of increasing our coverage.
Do we have a motion?
I motion to not approve waiving the statutory liabilities limit protections provided by Minnesota statute 466.04.
I'll second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Will there be any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Resolution 2021-05, appointing the city's insurance agent.
So while Farmers and Merchants Insurance Agency has been serving us for a long time, there was no formalized agreement or anything. So this is just me formalizing that. And they help us a great deal. So
A motion to adopt resolution 2021-05, appointing the city insurance agent.
We have a second?
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Will there be any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. 52 wing engineering study.
So there's a number of needs that we have in the city. We need a new library, we need a gymnasium, we need an auditorium. We need. We own a big piece of property that's very costly to manage and maintain. I'd like authorization to approve an architectural firm to let us know what we can build on that land.
Do we have any idea how much money it would cost us to hire this company or hire a company?
Nope, but I will certainly look to do it as cost effectively as possible.
Well, I think it's something that has to be done because it's going to be empty. And there's a lot of issues there. A lot of
A lot of
issues.
issues, and we've stuck a lot of money into it. That's the problem. With the
That's-
new roof,
yeah.
with the heating system and stuff, I mean, it's just, you can't just walk away from it either.
No,
I think it's a good idea to see if we could possibly get a community center, or, possibly, get, something going up there.
well, we can't let it sit empty and just,
Have you heard a date when the current renters are looking to exit? Or the
All I know
daycare
is
and the
that,
other one?
all I am sure of is that when the school is completed, one of the renters is going to move to the school.
Okay.
Yeah, and we gotta have the school done August, what is it, the first week in August, don't we? I mean, that's the deadline, is when school starts, so.
well, I make a motion to authorize the city administrator to seek out an architect firm to create a schematic for how the site of the 52 wing can be used.
I'll second that.
Motion has been made and seconded. Will there be any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Airport project bid.
Is Mike Amborn online?
No, he left.
Okay. Roderberg and Berryman is asking for authorization to go ahead and seek bids and specifications for the project at the airport.
We have a motion.
I motion to allow Rodebush and Berryman to seek bids and specifications for the airport paving project.
We have a second.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Will there be any other discussion?
Will this be reimbursed by something or is this
Yep.
totally 100? It is? Okay.
It is
What is it? We
reimbursed.
pay 5%.
We pay 5% of $683,500. So our total expense should be around $34,000.
Of ours? Okay.
Just a note, well, I'm sure I'll be called by the, there's just some cement out there that when they do the tar, the owners out there would like to have front of the concrete cut straight so the tar looks nice.
Mhm.
You know, just so that's coincided with the owners.
Is that Schwenk here?
Yep.
Can you have them communicate with me?
Yeah, he's gone right now. He just wanted me to be aware of it.
Yep. So right now they're going to be collecting bids and specifications and I can make sure that that gets included in that.
Yeah.
It's important for him because I'm not an engineer, so I need it in writing so I can have them put it
Okay.
into their bids.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Gambling permits, Fire Association and Chamber of Commerce.
Motion to approve the Appleton Chamber of Commerce to host a raffle on Friday, April 16th, 2021. And for the Appleton Fire Relief Association to host their raffle on Sunday, April 18th, 2001 pursuant to the Minnesota Gambling Control Board as prescribed by Minnesota Statute 349.166C.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Will there be any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Transactions.
You guys have the transaction summary. I won't go through it in the efficiency of time. If you have any questions, please reach out to my office. You'll see that we're doing swimmingly.
Yeah. We'll go into closed session for labor negotiations.
Yep.
I motion to enter into closed session pursuant Minnesota statute 13D.03 for labor negotiation strategy.
Do I have a second?
Yep.
Motion's been made and seconded to go into closed session. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, do we have a motion for the resolution? Accept the labor negotiations strategy.
Motion to adopt resolution 2021-06.
Okay. This time, yeah, motion to adopt resolution 2021-6 to amend the 2021 city budget.
I'll second. Motion has been made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Resolution 2021-07. Is that in the official city newspaper?
Motion to adopt resolution 2021-7 city official newspaper.
Second.
What is it?
The press.
The Appleton Press.
Yep.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded to have the Appleton Press as our newspaper. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Uh-oh. Now what do we do?
There's no Amber now.
Amber in here.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. That was the